I love my M1 iPad Pro. It's a music production powerhouse with no current iOS music making app able to make it even break a sweat. The biggest problem hardware wise though is the lack of ports. My M1 Pro and most modern iPad models come equipped with a single USB-C input, which means that most folks using one of these for music production are on a one-way trip to Dongle Town. For example, my usual iPad music making setup consists of this budget metal stand I got from Amazon and Ugreen's admittedly pretty great, but now sadly discontinued, 4-in-1 adapter. Yes, it gets the job done, but it's clunky, inelegant, and everything is all just a bit too sugary for my liking. When Quiizlab reached out and asked if I'd like to take their 6-in-1 iPad stand and dock for a spin, I leaped at the chance, as, on paper at least, this thing is pretty much perfect. Let's take a closer look. In the Quiizlab iPad stand's box, you will find an adorable wee quick start guide, the hinge-connected neck and magnetic panel section of the stand, the base of the stand, a USB-C to USB-C cable, and a small bag containing a screwdriver and 4 screws. Yes, you'll need to get your DIY on here, as you need to manually connect the base to the main part of the stand. Thankfully, it's very straightforward and only takes a few seconds. The plate where you magnetically mount your iPad is fully rotatable, though really quite stiff to get going. Quiizlab have placed an unmissable how-to sticker onto the part where you magnetically attach your iPad, presumably to make sure the absolute morons don't incorrectly attach their £750 iPad to this and then potentially damage it by immediately trying to demonstrate how strong the magnet is. Once correctly attached, your iPad is not going to go anywhere. The magnets Quiizlab have used here are impressively strong. On to the included ports then. First up is a USB-C port that you'll be using to hook the hub up to your attached iPad using the provided cable. More on that in a second. Next is a 3.5mm headphone jack, incredibly useful for music production as you'll want to be using a wired pair of headphones in most instances to minimise the latency involved with a wireless pair. Next is a 60-watt USB-C port, capable of pass-through charging. This is essential if you plan to indulge in long recording or mixing sessions with your iPad. Next to that are SD card and micro SD card slots. Now, these will likely be more useful to those working in video production who want to bring footage across from their fancy pants cameras. Still incredibly handy to have here nonetheless. Next to those are 2 USB 3.0 ports. Now, these ports are rated for speeds up to 5 gigabits per second, which isn't going to break any file transfer speeds, but provided you have the hub hooked up to the mains, will let you attach audio interfaces, USB microphones, MIDI controllers, and more. Finally, there is a 4K 60Hz capable HDMI port if you want to hook your setup up to an external monitor. To use the hub aspect of the stand, you'll need to attach your iPad to the top USB-C port using the provided cable. The cable itself is braided and feels really good. At first glance, you might think that it's a tad long, but bear in mind that you can completely change the orientation of your attached iPad with this plugged in, so the extra length is understandable. And you can always coil it up a bit if you find the extra length to be a bit cumbersome. The build quality here on the whole is really good. The stand is completely made of lovely, hard-wearing heavy metal and has a reassuring amount of heft to it. As I mentioned before, provided you position your iPad correctly, the magnetic connection here is really strong. That isn't going anywhere. Getting things going with the orientation while you've got an iPad attached will take a bit of welly as it is quite stiff. The ports on the hub section of the stand are good, though plugs attached to the USB-C and USB ports maybe have a bit too much wiggle to them. Having said that, this didn't affect any connection or sound quality during my testing. In terms of the kind of setups that you can create using this stand, the fact that you're able to connect both an audio interface and a MIDI controller at the same time is very, very handy, and means you can just set everything up once and not have to unplug one thing to plug in another. You'll need to work on your cable management game, however, as once you've got stuff attached to the USB ports, a power cable into the USB-C port, and even potentially an external monitor cable plugged in, things can get a bit messy, if that bothers you. I really like this. It has pretty much every type of connection anyone making music on their iPad would ever need. It's convenient, build quality is great, and more importantly, I'll never need to touch another bloody dongle ever again. There are two versions of the Qwiizlab stand hub thing available. This one, which fits 2020 and 2022 iPad Air models, and 2018, 2019, 2020 and 2022 model 11-inch iPad Pros, and a larger version which fits 2018 through to 2022 12.9-inch iPad Pro models. You'll find links to both sizes of this stand down below, and if you could give that like button a gentle caress on the way past, I'd really appreciate it. Let me know your thoughts on this down in the comments, and if you want to lust after even more lovely music making gear, watch this next.